Okay, so the Aries new moon eclipse today, and another eclipse is going to be in 2 weeks. I think it's in Taurus. Well, of course it's in Taurus, okay? But I don't know the dates. Excuse me. God bless us all. So I need to start with this here first. Um I sent out a scripture this morning, and it's Acts 2. And when the day of Pentecost, Acts chapter 2 was come, they were all with one accord in one place. Start to recognize. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as a, a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And that's the disciples. Um, and there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of fire, and it sat upon each of them. Excuse me. And they were all filled with the Holy Ghost and began to speak with other tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance. So, as I began to look at everything that I had going on this morning, and in prayer and all, what I found is that this energy is so equatable to what's happening. And as I began to write things out, I looked up at the tab and I said, this is a scripture that's resonating right now. So the new moon eclipse is number one, a new moon, which means at the same time that something is being cut away, or things that are being cut away from us in our lives that's not productive, something new is coming in. The other thing that we can look at is here, and I wrote here, new moon eclipse in Aries, identity check-in for everyone in the place. The moon will be sitting in your chart. And in the place, meaning the place that the moon will be sitting in your chart. So you need to know that after all, almost 2 years, y'all need to know where the moon is going to be in your chart in Aries. And then I went on, and there have been 2 new moons in Aries within the last, I'm talking about in Aries within the last 30 days. So when the sun went into Aries, there was a new moon. And as we are in this eclipse season, here's another new moon, because we had a full moon about two weeks ago. And so that 2 new moons in Aries is something to talk about. What is to talk about? Identity changes. So some of us might feel like we're ongoing changing with something within ourselves and don't know who we really are, like Alice in Wonderland, or even Alice in the Looking Glass. And that's okay, because at this time, what's going to happen is some of who you are will begin to catch up with you, and that house that that moon is in, also where the sun is still in Aries, you begin to catch up with yourself and say, okay, I kind of know what's happening here. And so Aries new moon March 21st, and Aries again April the 20th, which is today, to maximize the energy. And whenever you feel like you're tired, sometimes you're not tired, you just need to be receptive to relaxation, because the moon energy and the eclipse is taking something out. Some people could have been purging, and they could have been purging for the past month, because all of this energy was coming in. Plus, we have another one that, sometimes you don't realize what's happening, and you'll submit to things that, or conversations that are not really conducive to your belief system, but you don't change your communication until you become aware that is not your thought process. And when I say that, I mean, like, if you keep saying that you don't have no money, then it is so. Until you become aware that you have all the money in the world because you're connected to the universe, you won't have any because your thoughts is always migrating around what you don't have. And you can add that communication to any part of your life where you think that, or you're complaining, or you just feel like you're heavy and you know and beat down. Because here, the one thing about life is that there's something greater than all of us, and we look at these situations as if we're the greatest. And if we turn that around and say my higher power is working it out for my good, and stop speaking and communicating what is not going to get us the blessing, then that's where our changes are. Because Aries, no matter where it is in your chart, it deals with the identity of what you are and who you are for that position. Like for me, it's in the fourth house, Cancer's house. So it's dealing with subconscious mother challenges, or, you know, sweetening up of mother challenges, because I've been working on those things. You know what I'm saying? Characteristics like Jupiter. So where the moon is coming in and the eclipse is coming in, this is what they'll be dealing with. And I will add to this the changes that. And so Scorpio is Pluto, psychological, biological, economics, other people's money, social, and it's also subconscious. But you see, if you put Libra and Scorpio together, you still have the same energies, but as they overlap, what's happening is Libra actually wants to come in and support Scorpio, because he wants to support the psychological challenges that we all go through, the biological challenges, the economics, and all of that that impact us as a people, other people's money, social issues. So what we have right now is we're looking at social issues, we're looking at the political system, we're also looking at and seeing how people are being exposed. We had last month, the name of that business over there in the bank that went out of business, Silicon Valley. You know, with this energy, it's back up again. Guess what? It's going to be more, because it's the same issue. But the problem that you have now is an old system of mindsets with people that keep voting same people, not looking at it doesn't work for them. All right. Now, any questions before I go on?
None for me.
No questions.
Y'all couldn't hear me?
No, we can hear you. No questions.
Yes,
Okay,
I was gonna
read
say
it.
that
Okay.
because you had mentioned something about the young man that,
So
that got
Sagittarius, I'm sorry?
I was saying that I was going to add to that, just real quick, when you talked about the young
Nora,
man.
you're going in and out.
Okay, I'll try later.
I couldn't hear you. Sagittarius, Jupiter, that's the planet. It's philosophy, higher learning, lawyer, therapist, expansion, meaning it expands wherever it is. It's an overseas traveler, nomadic. It doesn't, it doesn't put its roots down probably until later in life or early in life. And then when it discovers that it likes traveling, it takes off. Capricorns, and all of these, what I'm describing is going to be in a place where you're changing the way that you do things, the way that you see, because of what's falling away. Aquarius or Capricorns, Saturn, the policies, administration, political areas, structure, and leadership. All of this falls, you see how they overlap and they begin to actually complement each other. Of course, I didn't put down the negatives, but you want to say, well, if I have the Aries new moon in Capricorn, how is that going to affect me? And it's going to affect your leadership, the structure that you have. maybe your structure had been off. It's going to bring in a different way. It's going to bring in a different way of communicating. If you have other planets in there, such as Mercury with Capricorn, if that's where the new moon is at, because it wants to it wants you to speak new. It wants you to dress new. It wants you to act new, right? It don't want us to act like, oh, that's why it's the old is gone. All right, so, okay, I got what you're saying. So Pisces, Neptune, or no, I said Aquarius, Uranus, technology, computers, humanitarianism, the groups, dark web, and that's where people are learning how to steal more in the internet, because Aquarians have that type of genius mind. The people, the dark web is going to become more enhanced, where people will be getting scammed. I have to say that because it's Aquarian energy. So there will be Aquarians that will discover how to teach, or people with Aquarius in their chart teach how to overcome that, because it's a new thing. But the newest part of Aquarian energy is people discovering that there's a connection to humanitarianism or groups that's needed in order to overcome the issues that we've had in the world. Not to mention that, we haven't finished with 1776 being in Cancer's energy of Scorpio, you know what I'm saying? And the fact of the matter that there's a lot of subconscious issues that African Americans or Black Americans have. I don't want to say anyone's right now, but the issues of scarcity and scattering of families, going back to Scorpio's reasoning or identity, you can read it. It's showing the face of what's happening, because our people do not want to support each other. It's just self-centeredness, like they were taught to teach a slave mind. And so slaves generally they will get out and break free. And they used to take others with them, but in our time, they don't want to take nobody with them. They only want to see about themselves. They're scared of anybody else being seen, so they don't want to take everyone with them. But the Aquarius energy will impact some where it's saying you got to help the people. You got to stop helping yourself, because Aquarius has a self-centered way about itself before it actually comes into its purpose. So all of this is the purpose. If you know anything about the signs and you put in the positive part, now you could talk about the negative, but you already feel negative because you feel a depletion of something leaving your body. And that's that old energy. Pisces, Neptune, it's about religion and religious organizations, government structure, and Capricorn is too. And Aquarius is too. You could say the last 6 of those signs is about structures of government, but breaking it down, you look at what they do and then you can bring them together. Because if I look at Aries, I am, then that's just me as a person. When I take Aries into Taurus, this is where I began to receive the harvest, or like in Genesis, the land, you know what I'm saying? And you could go on and see how that's working, where you actually develop as an individual through all of the signs in your whole. So Pisces, religion, government structures, associations, organizations, marriage, institution, mental institutions, outpatient therapy, prison, church, fraternities, illusion, entertainment. All of this and all these signs of the planets, until we break through the illusions, we are always still in this Piscean energy of some type of illusion and thought process. Now, the end of this is the eclipse is breaking through illusions for people. It's like bare nakedness. That's what it does, because when that sun and moon come together, it it blends the sun and moon together, but it's cutting out the middle part like Jesus was on the cross. The thieves on both sides came together and spoke to him, and he had to go into hell. So there was a cutting away even for him on the cross. So the eclipse is like a crossing out of things that is not productive. Anybody want to add before I go on? Y'all could read the rest of this. Okay, well, the new moon in Aries is a good time to commit to personal goals that express the positive energies of the ram. It's time to take action, try something new, you see, and innovative, and go at something new and innovative and go at it with gusto and confidence. Be assertive without being abrasive. That's very important. Take charge of our lives, start a brand new project because it's new. Discover our own personal courage. Courage is not losing your temper. It's courage enough to be silent and endorse that maybe some things are out of order concerning others when they speak to you, because it's a time where people are going to be flying off the handle. I'm sure they have already. Let's see. There's a strong cycle under which to, reevaluate our relationship with ourselves, because this is a really new cycle for most people that have paid attention to moving away from old things, old relationships, and recreating themselves. This is a cycle to do that. It's time to make some solid yet realistic plans and to set the stage for reaping the rewards from our new beginning. So here is a time where we're actually we're replanting. Like some people are still stuck in the past 7 to 10 years. The decade is over, so you could be replanting the same type of emotions and behaviors and feelings, and so you're going to get the same thing. And some people are going to say, well, it's just a situation that I'm in. Good, then you're going to stay there because you're not trying to create a new harvest. Anytime that you're going to create a new harvest, you can always look at Genesis 1 and 2, because everything that we just read about Aries through Pisces is Genesis 1 and 2. First, there was nothing but land that God created from out of the universe. All of that is relative. And it was a spirit. Over in 2, there was a man and then a woman. It was a process. And when you think about anything that you go through in life, it's a process. So there's no way of rushing anything because it's out of your control, it's out of mind. And the point of bringing up control is that we were taught that we were in control, but we never were. That was false information, especially when you start coming into, I'm in this world but not of it. You're not in control because you can't make anything happen right now. What you can do is cooperate and go with the flow. So it's time to make realistic plans and set the stage for reaping the rewards. What is it about your attitude that you need to change when you're talking about someone else's? Now, I know that we have some foul acting people, but they're only around us because of the foul that we have in us. So once we release that, then it goes away. We're responsible, okay, for our outcomes. So, Aries is the first sign we know that of the zodiac, and thus a new moon in Aries is especially ripe with opportunity for new beginning. And I just want to say that it's not right for the beginning if you don't have the right mind for new beginnings. Because if you still congested with what happened last year, and we all deal with that, it's just now we're saying pluck that up so that those roots don't grow for the rest of the year and you can get a blessed manifestation, because this is a time where you're planting new, because it's the first month January was not the first month. Aries is the first month. It's about the ram, not the bunny, and it's about the individual. Wherever it is in your chart right now, it's still about the individual, you, because you have something that you can change in that house individually. So if someone had Aries in Virgo, then they would be changing some things about their Virgoing ways. Maybe they don't need to be a player. That would be a hot spot right there. For somebody, a Virgo with, let's say Virgo with Aries and Virgo, that would be hot, because Virgos can be very especially the men, they can be dogmatic, and Aries there will make them even more aggressive with that. So they would want to change that sexual behavior, right? And that's just an example, because they have phenomenal professional and abilities, and they're very articulate. They can communicate if they have not been repressed, blah, moving on. I'm about to say blah, blah, blah. So we know some of these things already. But anyway, Aries learns through experience and action. Very action oriented energy in that place. And we might treat ourselves a little to a little adventure. It's also a good cycle under which to discover the benefits of expressing ourselves. See, that's what it wants you to do, actually, through communication and also in action, because it's an energy that it's only about work and doing things. People understand that Aries does not want you to shut it down, so you get some fight with Aries trying to tell it to shut down. I'm sorry, Jazz. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna wait till you're finished, but I came to the realization that whenever there is either a new moon or full moon in Aries, because Aries is Libra's sister sign, I find myself having to balance, like you said earlier, um, finding the balance of being assertive but not being aggressive. And at first, I struggled with that because I would just go off on people or snap at people. But now I realize what it is, and it's Aries asking me to, hey, keep it balanced.
So yeah, in most cases when I was just talking to someone about that. The assertive. So okay, most people will cut off like communication. They'll stop talking and let the other one talk because they're afraid of how they're going to come across. And what I found is it's like a passive aggressive energy that you have because of always being silenced. And what you have to do is stand up to yourself. That's what it's, to me, that's what it's all about. Because people are going to accept you as you are. And then we will say, well, they didn't let me do this. No, you didn't let yourself do that, is what I found. And also getting out of your own way to say that you care so much about what people think about what you say. Hope I answered that or gave some thought to it, because in my time, that's what I was dealing with. A lot of aggressiveness within myself, because number one, I was told what I should say and not say as a child. So I was groomed to be a slave already. Now,
Yeah, that applies with me too. Like this Aries is in my 10th house. And even this week being on a business trip and being back around people that I work with and not just through a computer screen, I'm always observing myself, and this is something I would have never done in the past. They were having a Q&A session, and I took the mic, and said what I had to say. And it was you know how there's the things that people want to say, but they just don't say it. And in that moment, I was just like, no, this should be said. You know what I mean? Because it's relatable. So I even noticed those differences in me and being and just speaking, like, because I too, in my childhood, went through that where I didn't speak. And like you said, Miss Kim, it was a choice, it was a choice. So, but now I see so many changes in me and even all the people I talked to this week, normally I would just be somewhere in the corner, like just listening. No, it was so different. So that resonated with me.
Jazz?
I'm sorry, what'd you say? What was the last part you said, Nine?
I don't remember what's the last thing you heard.
I heard that you were saying that you a lot of the things that you needed to say are the things that you shouldn't be saying or should people don't say or think about or people I'm getting tongue tied because I'm tired.
Well, the gist of what I was saying was just that, we're moving beyond a time of holding ourselves back, you know what I mean? And I think it's taking the responsibility that, okay, even though we may have experienced people shutting us up back in the day, and this is just an example, it comes a point in your life where you say, well, I'm not going to shut myself up anymore, which I had continued to do throughout my adulthood. But I've been seeing in this energy, and which so happens to coincide with me being in a work environment because it is going through my 10th house. I was just observing how my behavior was completely different, completely different. And I was allowing myself to be heard, be seen, you know, which
Yeah.
kuda, I pat myself on the back because, you know, that wasn't me,
Yeah,
you know.
I've had instances like that. And then I've had instances where I am being overtly aggressive, and then I have to step back and be like, okay, why is this triggering me in this way where I'm being so aggressive and not being assertive? It's like the teetering the thin line of being assertive but also being aggressive. That was
Yeah.
that was my issue where it was just like I would take it from I would go 0 to 100 real quick, and it would just be
Yeah.
one of those things, or I would just be I would assert myself and leave it at that. Sorry, my bad, Ashley. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, well, sorry. I was just gonna say to what you just said. It was me. It's just that I was holding myself back, and I can also relate to the assertive part because I wasn't assertive, and me having an Aries moon, it would come out in very aggressive ways, because I didn't know how to communicate unless imagine going from not speaking to now you having to get it out and it comes out just explosively. That's what I went through until I had to start to learn how to balance that out.
So with me, because we're sister moons, I would be passive aggressive about it. So like you would be assertive and you would be aggressive about it, where I would allow myself to hold myself back from talking and then in turn be passive aggressive because I didn't allow myself to speak my truth at that time.
Okay.
The key is for everyone. I hope y'all can hear me because I think that the internet is probably going through some changes with everyone. Not just mine as usual. But the key is consciousness. The only way that you're going to come into your ability to just be yourself is through consciousness. There is, like some people will think, well, you should just speak up. But the last 10 to 14 years of transits with Pluto in Capricorn in my first house were to lift me up and tear me down. And that meant that I had to learn from that transit what to do, not from outside of me, but within. And that within meant that I had to do a whole lot of soul searching, which meant, see how it's 2 plus 2 equals 2 plus 2 plus 2. You're always doing inside work in order to become or speak and be who you are outside. It's not something you can read like most people do. So most people are saying, well, I'm a star seed, really? Well, you know what? Just because it got a name doesn't mean a thing. Because if you don't know what to do with being a star seed, it ain't gonna work. You're just gonna be an empath that's walked over. That's the bottom line. So the empath learns how to be a outpath. They learn how to function with their certainty inside instead of trying to be people pleasing because they feel that with people saying, yes, I like you. They're not going to like you when you say good things, and they're not going to like you when you tell them off. Okay. So I saw Ashley put balance there, and it is. That's where Libra in Jasmine comes in and says, oh, there's many people that I've worked with, and what I see is them wanting to be something, and they can be it in the conversations or sessions with me, but can you be that when you're not in there with me? And my be it to you all is, can you meditate your way into who you really are? Can you find your consciousness in who you really are? I can relate to what Nai is. She's going into an office, and now, listen, people, oh, you're beautiful. Harabo chic, harabo Sunday. Listen, I was in an office and managing people. I am not there anymore because I did my work. That's the number one thing. And people tried to push me out, but God really used them to push me out. What do you mean when you say that? Because God had another plan. It's not like it's something easy that there was another plan, because all of it wasn't clear, but I had already said it before. So it's like you were never meant to stay in a place, but you were there to learn and teach people how to be. That's what it was all about. You're there to learn how to be a Libra energy socializing, and socializing with balance. Everywhere that you go, Libra and justice is following you. And it's saying, okay, how are you going to respond to this? Are you going to respond the way that you did when you were a child? Or are you going to respond to it as an adult? And some people are trying to figure out how to be an adult. I could go on and on talking about all of this, because one of the things you can't take, no one could take away from me, is that I'm a teacher. So I will teach a rock how to be a better rock. Okay. That's right. Now, moving on from there, if you've been hurt as a child, you go back and forth into that pain. And you are talking to your parents about the pain, because that's what's going to help you to open up to other people, not tell them off. Other people don't need your aggression. It's your parents that need to hear you talking to them about things you didn't feel right about. And that doesn't mean that you cussing them out. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? Because see, just because your parents told you to be good, Betty Crocker, and sit on the couch, doesn't mean that's who God made you to be. You are, we're still, listen, I'm not talking about, listen, I said Aries is about identity. If someone gave you an identity that you were going to become a doctor and you don't have the brains for that, you and your parents need to recognize. Your parents put you in a position where they brainwashing you about what you're going to be. That doesn't always work, but it's part of a tradition from slavery. I want you to hear what I'm saying. Your parents and you, if you're passive aggressive, you need to talk to them. That's one of the things. But the other thing is that you need to meditate, because some parents are not going to get what we talk about. What they're going to do is see our light shine and change. They're going to see how we shake and move in between the darkness and the light within us. But the other thing is that you can't be what people want you to be. And hell, you can't be what you want you to be, because you don't always know what you want you to be. You know your purpose is found in Christ. He said, where two or three of us are gathered, there the blessing is. Two or three, the Trinity. That means the sun and the moon and your rising sign. There you are. You find yourself in the rising. Now, the mystery of it all is definitely in your moon sign, because you find out that you have some issues with your nurturing. Now, that's only a little bit. This is not about anyone in specific. That's why I do sessions. But that's some good information that she brought up, because people don't know how to act, so they begin to act like what they've been taught or what they saw and what they think people want. Fuck that shit. All right, who next? We ain't acting like no damn body, but who God made us to be. Fuck it. God bless. Who's next?
I was gonna share a little earlier that I'm
What?
noticing. Can you hear me, Miss Kim?
Hold on, let me see if I get my earphones. I don't know what's going on.
I can hear you.
Is Mercury going
Because
boost?
here we go, growing up, grown people, and I need to be growing up lyric. Go ahead.
Um, wow,
Let
that
me
just
see.
that just made me realize something in and of itself. But I've been struggling with my boss. Her we went through a restructure at my office, and she got like all of the areas that she manages essentially taken away but two departments. And
Good.
her attention still lacks. So February 15th, I went to the office, and on the 20th, on March 20th, I sent her an email to get a reimbursement for that trip. I followed up on the 29th, and then I followed up yesterday, and I still haven't heard from her. And I have 90 days to submit. So I'm struggling with, do I follow up on the same email chain? Do I create a new email chain and put her boss on it and just go, hey, Shelly, I've been asking you for this for about 2 months now, and you're very unresponsive. I'm not sure what you have going on, but at this point, I don't have much time left to get what I need to get done. So either you're going to sign my form or I have to go above your head. And I'm struggling with that because this is now the second or third time I felt like I needed to go above her head on situations. And I don't want to be insubordinate. But just now when you mentioned growing up lyric, what I'm not currently speaking with lyric for casual conversation because she snapped at me over something that wasn't to be directed at me. But because I'm the parent that's here, I'm the parent that gets the brunt of it. So it makes me think about that situation and how it
Mm.
reflects in my life. And like, even with work, I'll snap at other people because I'm frustrated with the lack of leadership I receive from my boss. So when you just said that, the light bulbs went off for me, and I said, oh, okay. Um, I'm not sure when I'm going to start speaking to lyric because I'm upset with her, very upset because of how because of what she said and how she reacted towards me. Um, but it's definitely an area that I'm seeing I need to do some work in, some reflection in.
Okay. Let me add this here. And I want y'all to really understand what I'm saying, because again, after years of life, what I found is that there was a glitch in our leadership, right? So we don't even know what leadership looks like. When we go to work, and I brought this up from Other times meaning, but I'm bringing in another way because Ashley, you caught it. Leadership in a workplace, in a home, in communities, in political systems, in general, it looks like dysfunction to us, right? And so what we do is we settle for it. I feel like, we have to learn how to observe what we're learning. And because I learned that I had issues in leadership in my growth, then I found that there were leadership issues all throughout my life. Now, that's not judging people, but it's saying, okay, we're coming into something and we're looking at how we can change it. And the only way we can change it is by being honest with the individuals. Listen, I don't want to tell you how to lead, but you can't lead me like that. Now, am I saying that straightforward? No, I'm not. And that is, it's like the tongue of the learned, and it's the identification of who you are. And when you see that something is wrong with leadership, you could go back and say, well, you know what? My inner child is dealing with this issue in this manner. I don't know what to do because I didn't know what to do as a child. And that's like illuminating the light on something that a lot of people are not seeing, right? But you have the ability, you all have the ability to see that is why you didn't speak up about things that you needed to. So you look at and begin to pray in this eclipse season how I'm going to handle it, because it's been the same. And it's because leaders don't have all the answers. What that means is that you probably are going to have to follow up, and you're going to follow up with a different mindset, and it's going to be to get the work done. Because as a child, the kids don't know how to follow through as a leader, but their parents can give them the leadership abilities by making them solve problems on their own instead of solving the problems for them, right? When
Thank
you,
you. Thank you so much, Miss Kim. Thank you so much. You don't even know what that that statement you just said just did for my mental. Thank you so much.
okay, so please write that down, because when I look at the problem solving, that's what I had to do for myself and my mom. Other people here might say, well, that's for her. No, it's how the world is, because everyone that's on here, they have childhood issues that they're playing out with whatever issues they're going through right now. And they don't realize that they need to, again, solve the problem as a child. I ain't saying cuss your parents out, but I'm saying that you open your mouth and speak your truth, and then you won't be afraid of leaders as a grown-up. I mean, do you have a board? I've spoke to other people that are dealing with work issues and said, do you have someone that you can go to, superiors? Of course, but you go through management the proper way. You don't go in a hostile way that says, we going down. That's why I quit that job I had, because I am a grown woman that could be triggered to go back and say, let's take it to the street. And we ain't going out like that. So the whole company had to learn something from me leaving. And it's not like, oh, I'm glad about what happened, but then you're calling me back and you want me to do work for you. But what the lesson it was for me is that I had to sit with a lot of people for 14 years with repressed feelings, and no one heard me for a reason. But it helped me to identify that it was okay for me to say, I don't listen. When I keep saying fuck that shit, that's how I feel right now. Because everybody is always thinking, well, gosh, what if I say this wrong? It's a time and season. Pray about it. But sometimes all you got to do is walk around and say, shut the fuck up. That's your family, not at work now. Shut the fuck up. Or just look and give a eye of silence, because people need to know that you're not dealing with what you used to. Now that is if you are working on yourself, because you were programmed to be afraid and to worry about what people was going to say if you said anything. Now I know Ashley speaks, but she still has passive aggressive, you know, emotions about saying directly how it is. She will talk, you know. Honora needs to speak up. I think she's speaking up more too, and of course Nye is. And here, you know, Jasmine is. The thing about passive aggressive is that you got to bring balance to it. And you got to realize that you're not a child and that you're able to be heard, because most of you that have children, you listen to your children. And sometimes, like Ashley just said, you listen too much. That's why she's not listening. I know why she's not listening to Lyric. And Lyric needs that possibly because when she gets older, guess what? If she talks too much and tell people her feelings, she's gonna be put in a place where people are like, well, you know what, she always saying something. They're gonna take her for granted with her conversation. Teach them conversational balance. Teach them that they have to learn how to have a conversation. Hello. All right.
I wanted to
Anybody
add
else?
something. Yes, can you hear me?
Lenora. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So two things, small things. Um, one, how old is Lyric? She's 9?
Yeah, she's 9.
Yeah. So see, she only has 9 years of, learning how to process, her emotions mentally, physically, all of those things. And, you know, there's times that, kids are going to get frustrated and they're going to say the wrong thing. How many times have we as grown-ups said the wrong thing and then had to walk it back or walk back an apology, you know, and take back what we said? And so I feel like there's a fine line of discipline and or like when it comes to disciplining our children, you know. And I'm trying to think of the other word for that, but I think we just what I wanted to share with you is like something that my mother used to do, and she was our biggest cheerleaders, for me and my sisters and brother. And but there were times that like I would just, you know, be in a mood, and and it wasn't often, but maybe I was just, feeling strong emotions and unsure about it. And she was always my closest confidant. So there was times that I said things I really knew I shouldn't have said, and in the back of my mind I'm thinking, why are you saying this? And this is as a kid too, and I'm like, Honora, what are you doing? And it would upset my mother. I'd get in trouble. And then there were days that it was like she would give me the cold shoulder. It wasn't that she was trying to withhold her love for me, because she didn't use that as a weapon at all. But it was like that closeness wasn't there. And I remember the anxiety that would build up in me every day, until I felt like, things were warm again. And there were times that I'd, have to go to my dad to intervene and say, I think mom hates me, and I said this, and he was like, well, did you apologize? And I'm like, let me go write her a letter right now. And he's like, yeah, I think that's a good start, you know, and I'll let her know that, you're not going to repeat that behavior. And I was like, okay. And, but it would still take her time to, I don't know, get over the hurt of me being disrespectful when she raised me better, and she raised me, but I knew better, but, for whatever reason, like I said, I let my, head get away from me. So I just wanted to share that because I didn't realize that that was a shared experience until I was telling my sister about a disagreement I had, or actually it was really we were what do you call it? Miscommunication is what it was with my oldest, and my sister, like, and I, sent her the text message. I was like, "What did you think about this?" And she was like, please don't leave him hanging. Like, don't do what mom did to us and like go days without saying anything. Like, address it immediately. And it's crazy that she had said that because I had already sent the reply. And I let her know, yeah, hey, I dealt with it. Like I gave myself just a little bit of time, to process and everything. And then I gave him a reply. I didn't leave him hanging for days because I realized that that's something that my mom would do. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Just in response to that, in the moment, I course corrected Lyric. I let her know where she was wrong. But I also let her know that I was no longer going to stand for her treating me the way that she was, because her feelings are getting out of control. Because we've spoken about her coping mechanisms and the things that she can say to me. We have code words. We have full on things that we've discussed. She
That's
knows
great.
if she just shuts down and get quiet, I'm going to say, hey, do you just need a minute? And if she says yes, I don't poke and prod. I course corrected her.
That's
But
great.
at the same time,
Mhm.
no, ma'am, I'm not dealing with that,
Yeah,
because
I understand setting that precedent right immediately. Yeah, because you got to correct the
yeah.
behavior when it's happening. I understand
So I
that.
didn't just leave her hanging, but now it's just, there's no conversation, honey. No, no. Because you lashed out at me, and the lash out needs to go elsewhere. So now I'm going to get quiet for you to understand that, for you to make those conclusions and those connections for yourself, because I've been facilitating you and helping you along the way to get confident with that. You're only confident to do it with me, and that's not okay. So I would never like just completely shut her down and like not talk to her in the moment without letting her know, hey, this was wrong. This is not what you do. And because of that, now we have nothing to discuss.
Right.
And it's not completely like I'm not talking to her. She gets instructions like time to eat, Lyric, time to get ready for bed. Lyric, you need to wake up. Lyric, I'm leaving to take you to school now. But it's not, oh, how was school today? And those type of things, because no, that's not okay with me right now. Mm-mm.
Now, did you want to say something? I thought you had your hand up.
I did, but I retract my question. Thank you.
But I want to say, Nora, I do appreciate that insight, because I do know what it's like to be iced out.
Yeah.
So it's something that I didn't want to do. And I've also um watched it happen in my husband's family, where people just decide like we're not talking anymore. Like it
Hmm.
actually just happened while we were away. And that was very uncomfortable and problematic for me. So
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not gonna do it that way. I am gonna let you know, and I'm gonna communicate with you as needed, but not anything additional. So I do appreciate the insight though, because I don't want her to ever feel like I hate her at all. I don't want her to have that. I know what that does to
Right.
a child, so I don't want that to
Yeah.
ever be her mindset.
Right.
I think with parents in the past, I could see with myself and others, but I learned is you can't overcompensate for the other parent. And it's going to be up to everyone's idea and also guidance on how to raise their children, right? Guidance is important from the spirit. But if a parent overcompensates for another parent, and I've said this before, they will get the brunt of bruising from their children. And the reason why is because they're trying to make up for something that the other parent needs to be taken care of. Regardless if they're there or not, you can't compensate for them. So that's something within mothers and fathers that they have to find for themselves. And it's another area of, I want to say, leadership that they can have issues when they go into community settings and work or even relationships, because compensation is there, overcompensation, when there needs to be balance. I don't know if y'all understand what I'm saying, but I heard Ashley saying that. And she says she's the parent that takes care of her, and she's not going to put up with what she's given. And the children do need to understand that. Some people don't want their kids to understand things, but if you have a child and the father or the mother is not there, why do you want to give them a illusion? Furthermore, you don't want to lie to them. That's not me telling you how to raise your children. It's just something to, excuse me, open your eyes or let you to see you love, but it's God's child, and their journey here is because they need to learn something about that parent. Anybody want to come back?
Yeah, I was gonna say, coming from a child who my dad did overcompensate for my mom. So a lot of the times when I was hurting from that, I would
Mhm.
say things like Lyric does with Ashley. I would say things to purposely hurt my dad, where it would be
Mhm.
like he would make me upset, and I would be like, well, I want my mom. I wish my mom was here. And I know that would hurt him, but I would say it because I was hurting and I didn't know how to properly convey
Yes.
that or convey those emotions. And then on top of that, my dad would overcompensate, which then made me spoiled. I was a spoiled brat growing up. My dad probably only beat me once in my childhood. And so like the overcompensation comes in, and then like you have a child that now thinks that, oh, because my mom wasn't there or my dad wasn't there, then I deserve the world. And it's not like that. It's basically kind of sort of like a rude awakening of sorts.
Mhm. Anybody else? That's good. Mhm.
And maybe in the moment, it wasn't the best thing to say because prior to Lawrence's relocation, um, Lyric told me how she felt. She told me she wasn't comfortable telling him. So I said, you need to get comfortable. You need to write him a letter. You need to journal about it. You have a diary.
Mhm.
Um, and she started to. And then when she snapped at me, I knew it was her really wanting to snap at him. And I said, Lyric, I'm not the parent who left. I'm the parent who shows up every day. So if you want to direct your anger at somebody, you're upset at somebody, you're hurt at somebody, you do it to the person who does not call you when you want him to call. You do it to the person who doesn't make you feel how you feel like you should feel. It's not okay to treat mommy this way.
Okay, so this is the part where when you all were children, Honora brought up her feelings. Nye has talked about her. All of y'all have talked about y'all feelings as children. And we have two people on here that don't have kids. But the fact of the matter that you do have a child within you is a statement of claim that you're going back to correct. Because most people will treat their kids the way that their parents didn't treat them when they need to balance it out. Some of y'all have some wonderful parents, right? Some of the things that you want to change, you need to change it. But it's within yourself that change is necessary, even dealing with your children. And that means that there's a balance and there's consciousness that's there. Because I may not have been able to say what I wanted to my mom when I was younger. As I got older, I was like, yeah, no, I'm leaving home. And I didn't have that idea as it is, but I left home and I only talked to her when I wanted to. But you know what I did? I raised my children where they could sit down and talk to me. When it was not what I wanted to hear or it wasn't appropriate, I would just, it's not up for discussion. They had a father who did not discuss things with them. It was as he said. So that was the household that I came from, but I'm trying to make an emphasis out of this. They're people just like you, and the same people that they are the people that came out of you. Every one of your children that is born is who you are, with you needing to reshape or see the areas of weakness in them, and that's their identity, their character. Just because you want them to have a good life and experience it, your illusion is not a good thing. So you got to wake up and find out if you're living in illusion. Shape them as individuals, because the world is not going to give them anything but hardships, and if they can't handle the challenges or obstacles, then the weaknesses that you should have been, actually building them up in is going to show up. And that's where you have grown-ups like us that struggle with inner child identities. You have better access to be able to help them through what you're going through and look at within you and say, I'm feeling this, but I don't want them to experience that. That's not just by outer experiences that you don't want. You're building their character to say, I'm not going to allow them to be in situations environmentally, socially, if I can help it, and psychologically, I'm making changes within me. Because something inside of each one of us said, okay, I'm going to stop here and deal with this here and make myself feel like I'm nothing. And out of nothing, I had to build myself into something. It's going to be the same for them. You have ability to give them more. And more means that you're going to be the teacher. The obstacles that they get is so much better at home. Oh, you didn't clean up the kitchen? Oh, okay. Oh, you didn't do your homework? Those are part of reshaping them, but also communication. And that, again, I go back to who you were as a child. What you didn't like, that's fine. What you do like, that's fine. But look at what you're going through in life. Shape your inner child, but shape your outer child. All right, so it's 4:55. You can't overlook. I have to drop off. Good night, everybody. And I am guilty of that completely. We are guilty of something, but the thing is that we're here. Okay, we're here and we're changing. Okay, the next eclipse is May 5th. So I was going to add to what you said about the young man who went to the wrong house when he was picking up his siblings and was shot in the head. They see our young men as a threat and don't recognize them as children once they pass the age of 9, 10. And that is infuriating. Yeah, there have been a lot of political and religious leaders. Yeah, the Dalai Lama.
Now that was incredibly disgusting.
It was. You sent me that too.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I
I
was
actually
very
saw the
disturbed by
video
that.
of it, and I was like, "Is
There
he?"
was no playful, that wasn't playing around. Like that
No,
was, I'm
it was
sorry.
not. I was like, "Did he just? Did he?
Yeah, in
Does he
front of the
know
Just
whole
he's
suck
being
my
world.
tongue.
Okay.
right?" I'm like, "Does
Yep.
he know he's being recorded?"
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
he got too excited and, the mask slipped. I don't know. But that was very disconcerting. I was like, wow.
You see how his inner child is saying, I want to have sex?
Yeah.
And no one
Like,
would
Yeah,
be paying attention
ugh.
to that. I'm sorry. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with him to go out and be who he want to be. He just not need to stop living in illusion. He wants somebody to suck his tongue. He need to stop acting like he a Dalai Lama.
And go for a grown person. I'm sorry.
That's
Like,
right.
yeah,
You're
let's say
right.
Yes.
that, because yeah, you can't go forward with no kid. No, no, that's
Yeah.
come on now. And yeah, that the fact that I don't know, I couldn't see the playfulness in it. Like all I was seeing was pedophile. So
There was no
like,
playfulness
Yes.
in that. There was no
I'm
playfulness
sorry.
in that at all.
Well, I hope that y'all use this information and really define who you are. And if you have children, you can look at them and say, I'm redefining who you are, because the inner child in you is still showing up, and it's going to try to gratify something about your children that you need to shape up or gratify for yourself. So if you live in a situations that you know is not productive for your children, then you have to say, well, what happened to me in my childhood? And I know some people will say, well, nothing happened. So why are you letting it be here? What are you going to change about that? You know what I'm saying? Because your children are born into situations, and if you let it happen, then I feel like, I'm not trying to I'm making y'all think, because mom allowed, let's say, the little boy to go pick up his siblings, and so she might feel guilty now, right? But it
I
Yeah.
was
would
something
too.
that mom
I've had
Yeah.
allowed.
my son do that.
Huh?
I said, I've been cooking, and I look at the time
Yes.
and I realize that it's time to pick my kids up from the play date, a couple blocks away, literally a few
Right.
blocks away. And I've sent my oldest to go pick up his younger siblings just like that. Never been to the house, but it's
Mhm.
within just a few blocks, and you don't, yeah, it's disconcerting.
And the thing is, when you look at it and you turn it around, I'm not saying this in her judgment. I'm just making an example that parents should pick up their own children, because she wouldn't have had to feel like she does right now. It's not just that the old white man shot him. This is the first instance. And we look at the fact that he was shot as the old man, but I, as a mother, have sent my children to do things that I could see I shouldn't have. I mean, my grandmother was a number lady, and I found out years later that we were running numbers for her. That wasn't really correct. Okay, anything could have happened to us. She was just saying, go and pick up this money from such and such, but it was weekly. And when I found out, I was like, okay. So I'm not saying that he was wrong, but I'm saying that we as parents, there's some things we have to change about the responsibility of the kids and what's happening with the children. Do you get me?
Yes.
Because if my grandmother was using me as a number runner and didn't tell me, I could have been in jail. It was illegal numbers. God bless. If her spirit is here, it's just the truth. So the things that I learned that I wouldn't do, or someone else is teaching me, and y'all know how I feel on racism. But we got to change some things about ourselves. This is my point. Because when we look at accountability, we still looking at, excuse me, um, other people. I taught my children the way, and the reason why they will call me before they'll call their father is because they know that I'm going to tell them the it's a neutral type of position. Don't fight with her. Go and get a mediator. Get some therapy. Some people don't have the right information to tell their children, and so they lead them wrong. And so I think you all are dynamic mothers. Look at your inner child, and I like the way that Nora brought up how she probably dealt with Jaden. And her sister reminded, because there is a time when, like Ashley, you got to be silent. You know your child, what's going to make them better? I think that you all have the right dynamics, but of course, I'm going to make you think even harder, because if we don't, if we don't think about ourselves and the children, then where we're going to be? Because what we need Gemini for? And what is Gemini in our chart for if we ain't talking about community? Why am I out in the public helping children? Why has Nora got Tony in her house? This is Gemini energy. When you help in community, it's not just the fact that Tony is her brother that was raised with her. That's siblings, community, Gemini energy. What is it happening? I'm teaching him every day. That's what she doing, communicating with him every day. Something is going to change about Tony. He just had a birthday. He might be having some frustrations that's coming up more too, because he's an Aries. And because of that, Honora gonna have to deal with him a little bit more. She gonna have to talk to him. You see, and some people don't want to deal with that. That means she gonna have to talk up to him and then talk down. Listen, you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to get those ramen noodles, because that's what we having tonight. And so don't be getting upset because we're having ramen noodles, okay? I don't hear you.
I know that's right.
Mhm.
I won't get
And
upset,
then, huh?
but thank you for that heads up.
What'd you say?
Like, thank you for the heads up. Thank you for the warning. Come here. Sorry.
Mhm.
We're under a tornado watch, and we just got hit with like this big bolt of lightning. So this
Just
one ran
now.
over here. Yeah,
Oh,
just
okay.
now.
Yeah, that's safety.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Jocelyn. All right, ladies, anybody else want to add anything? I hope that y'all got something out of this here.
I didn't want to add anything, thank you, but Honora, tell Jocelyn I like her glasses, because I know that was something she didn't like so much at first, but I like them.
Mm,
Thank you, Jocelyn. Miss Ashley said she likes your glasses.
God bless everybody.
They put a big smile on her face. She said, "Thank you."
All right. Well, I'll see y'all next week. I think that's, oh yeah, Tuesday and Thursday. So God bless. And maybe this weekend I might schedule prayer. Tomorrow is the weekend, by the way. So,
Fine
all
by
right. So
me.
God, huh? How's your
I said,
mom?
that's fine with me.
Okay. God bless. Everybody's good. Okay, good. Okay. All right. Get some rest, all of y'all, and I will talk to y'all soon. Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Good
Have a
night,
good night.
everyone.
Thank
Good
you. Have a
night.
nice night, ladies.
Good night. Have a good one.